Okay, this lesson is going to cover gathering some artwork for your clock project. So we're going to go to Google and we're going to go to Images, and let's say we're looking for a boat. Under Search Tools, we're going to want to select the type to be line art, and we're going to select the size to be large. So we want to find a file that's going to cut well and be able to be traced. As I look through these images, see that this one has a range in values and is different in color. Generally speaking, that's not a good choice. This item here is also very detailed. So the kind of images that are going to work best are simple images with bold black lines. So let's take a look for some other items like say I wanted to cut out Block Island. Alright, this image right here might work. Again, we want large. You can look at clip art sometimes, and this could be helpful. Pick a simpler one. Okay, if you were a Red Sox fan, something like this might work. This is better. And we'll take a look around. Take a look at what the whole logo might look like. This number down here is telling us the resolution of the image, and that's important. The higher the resolution, the sharper our image. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to view image. It's going to give me the whole image there, and then I'm going to right click and save this image. Right. And I'm going to put it in my IT folder. So go to my documents and IT. I'm going to call it my clock project. I've got some images from the past here. Whoops. Call this one Red Sox. And save. Alright, next we're going to take a look at taking that image and pulling it into your clock project. So I'm going to call up vcarve, open up my clock, and let's pull in that image. Get rid of this text. To pull in an image, you're going to go to Import, Bitmap. Find my folder. Got a lot of folders. Here we go. Now I'm going to take a look at these by icon. And I have some boats that I've selected in the past, and I have this Red Sox logo. Let's take a look at how these might play out. Let's bring the Red Sox in first. When you pull in an image, this is a bitmap, and it's going to create a new layer for you. If I turn my bitmap layer on and off, you can see that that's going to disappear. We should be able to move this guy. Let me grab my move tool. There we go. So I can move it around. But what we're going to do right now is we're actually going to take these pixels and use a tool that traces them and creates them and turns them into lines or vector art that the software will recognize, because a bitmap is not going to do us any good in this format. So I'm going to go to this guy right here, kind of looks like a chicken, and we're going to select this. Now there are color options. You can turn it to black and white. In this case it's a color object, so I'm going to leave that. And I'm going to hit a preview and see what which color. It's asking us which colors do we want to trace, and let's see what happens if we just select these and do a preview. So these two seem to be the most brilliant colors. It said that these colors were also there, but I think we did a pretty good job with that. I hit a preview button here. You can see that there are black lines around that now. I'm going to close this out, and I'm actually going to take my bitmap and move it out of the way. Oops, I think I forgot to hit OK on that. Preview. There it is. I forgot to hit apply. Okay, now we can close that out. Again, if I now grab my move tool and just move the artwork, you can see that I'm left with these outlines that it traced. If we go into my toolpaths now, I'm going to lock this out. If I select these, I could potentially apply a vcarve. So I'm going to go with my 60-degree bit to try to start. Again, type in 60-degree, and I may say logo, just so I remember what this toolpath is, and hit calculate. We can preview that now and see if it's going to give us what we're looking for. Not too bad. Alright, it's the Red Sox, so we want to make this red. Alright, so that's one object that I brought in. I just want to take a moment and show you what the boat might look like, because some of you might want to take on a different bit of artwork. Now, forgot to tell you to do one thing. Once you trace that, it's a good idea to group those vectors that were traced, and that's right here. What that means now is these are all locked together. I'm going to ungroup them just to show you what I mean. When it traces them, it leaves each of these as their own item, and as if you try to move this around, you know, now your logo becomes multiple parts and you can get yourself into trouble. So I'm going to undo that. If you select it all and hit the group option, this is much safer way to move things around. You can also scale this by grabbing one of the corners if your logo is a little too large, or maybe it's not large enough. Generally speaking, it's better to trace a big image and make it smaller. It's going to make the image sharper than it is to trace something small and make it bigger. It's going to make all the letters jagged. So if you can find larger artwork to begin with, it's the right way to go. Alright, let's pull in that sailboat. Just take a look at what that looks like. Again, we're importing bitmap. I'm going to pull this in. This is a straight black and white, which is a good option. Go to my chicken here. I'm going to just call it a black and white. There are some adjustments here in terms of how loose or how tight we want the tracing to happen. I think the default is somewhere in here, which is probably not a bad place to go. We can talk a little bit more about that later. If you do a preview, it's going to give you an idea of what your artwork looks like. I'm going to change these and you'll get an idea of, oh, doesn't look like it's doing much different. Okay, I'm going to hit apply, close that out. Again, grab my move tool and get that artwork out of the way, and now you can see what this looks like. Again, if I forget to group this, it's individual pieces. If I select the whole item and go to group, I can now scale this down a little bit. I can rotate it if I wanted to. I don't want to do that. and grab my move tool. Now, close this out, go back to our toolpaths and get a vcarve here. And again, this one I would say is boat, and I'm going to call it 60 degree. And hit calculate. Oops, we're going to reset our preview. Preview this visible toolpath, and that's what it looks like. Maybe we should change that to a blue. Alright, so that's how you bring artwork into vcarve for your clock project.